The morning fog wrapped around Althorp like a secret refusing to fade. Nearly 30 years had passed since Diana's burial, yet something was stirring beneath the soil of her peaceful island. When Prince William received a phone call saying, "Your Royal Highness, there's been an incident at the memorial," he couldn't have imagined what lay beneath his mother's resting place. What began as a fallen tree soon revealed a centuries-old container, one that would unravel the deepest secret in royal history. A secret so powerful it could rewrite the lineage of the British crown and forever change how the world remembered Diana, Princess of Wales. Before we uncover what William found buried beside his mother's grave, take a second to like, subscribe, and share this story with someone who still believes Diana's legacy was special. This isn't just another royal mystery. It's a revelation of love, legacy, and truth buried for centuries. Trust me, you'll want to stay until the very end. The morning fog hung low over Althorp Estate, heavy and still, as if the land itself knew that something sacred was about to be disturbed. Prince William gripped the steering wheel tighter than usual as he drove through the iron gates, the crunch of gravel beneath the tires echoing in the quiet air. He had not visited his mother's resting place alone in nearly 30 years. Yet today felt different, almost as though the island was calling him home. 3 days earlier, a phone call had changed everything. "Your Royal Highness," came the voice of James Morrison, the long-serving estate manager, steady yet strained. "There's been an incident at the island. You need to come immediately." An incident. Those words had echoed in William's mind ever since. No details. Just urgency. Just that tone. As the Range Rover wound its way through the misty lanes of Althorp, William's mind replayed flashes of the past, his mother's laughter echoing through the gardens, the quiet walks she used to take here as a young girl, and that unforgettable day in 1997 when the world had watched him walk behind her coffin. The world had watched then. But this morning, he was alone. When he reached the lake, the scene stole his breath. The small island at its center had always been his mother's sanctuary, a circle of peace, guarded by 4 lime trees whose branches formed a natural cathedral above her memorial. Yet now something was wrong. The water rippled in unnatural patterns. The ground near the monument looked torn, disturbed. Tools were scattered nearby.
He parked near the footbridge and stepped out, the cold morning air biting through his coat. Each footstep echoed hollowly on the wooden planks as he crossed toward the island. "Your Highness," a voice called softly. It was James Morrison, emerging from behind one of the lime trees, cap in hand, his weathered face pale. "Thank you for coming so quickly. Tell me what happened," William said quietly, his eyes fixed on the earth that looked freshly toned. James hesitated. "We had those terrible storms last week. The wind was fierce. One of the lime trees nearly came down." He pointed to the largest tree, its roots now partially exposed, its base still raw from the storm. When the groundskeepers tried to secure it, they found something beneath the roots. William's heartbeat quickened. Something. A metal container. "Sir, quite old. We didn't move it. We thought it best you see it first." He stepped closer. There it was, half buried in the dark soil, a rectangular metal box, its surface green with age. Time had corroded it, but faint engravings were still visible, intricate patterns worn by centuries underground. "What do you think it is?" he asked. James shook his head. "Could be anything, sir, but it's not recent. My guess, it's been down there for centuries." Another voice joined them. "Morning, Your Highness." It was Tom Bradley, the head groundskeeper, an older man with sun-lined skin and steady eyes, the kind of man who had spent his whole life listening to the land. "Tell me exactly what you saw, Tom," William said. Tom scratched his chin. "Well, when we started digging around to secure the roots, my spade hit something solid. At first I thought it was stone, but when I brushed off the dirt, I saw the metal in those strange markings. Didn't dare open it, sir. It felt wrong to touch it." "Wrong," William repeated. Tom nodded, like it didn't want to be disturbed. For a moment, none of them spoke. Only the faint rustle of the lime trees broke the silence. William crouched, studying the exposed edges of the container. The engravings, though faint, resembled a family crest, one he almost recognized. The Spencer arms, perhaps, or something older. Has anyone else seen this? William asked, his voice low. Only us three, James replied. We thought it best to keep it private. Didn't want rumors spreading. Good, William thought. In his world, even the smallest secret could ignite into a global frenzy overnight. Whatever this was, it would stay within these trees. For now, he brushed moss soil away with his gloved hand, revealing the corner of a brass lock, ornate, untouched by time. Something in his chest tightened. His mother had chosen this island herself, long before her death. She'd walked these paths as a child, finding peace among the trees. And now, something older, something hidden, was surfacing from beneath her chosen ground. James, he said, standing, I want this excavated properly, but quietly. No press, no staff outside your most trusted men. We'll need archaeology tools. Something gentle. Brushes, fine instruments. I don't want a single scratch on it. Yes, sir, I'll make the coals myself. As the men began to prepare the area, William walked to the memorial stone. Simple, elegant, eternal. Diana, Princess of Wales, 1961 to 1997. A life lived with grace and dignity. He traced the words with his eyes, the mist curling around them like smoke. His throat tightened. Mom, he whispered softly, what have you left me? A strange thought crossed his mind. Had she known? Had Diana somehow sensed what lay beneath this soil? She'd always been drawn here, to this exact spot, as if the island had been whispering to her all along. The next hour passed in quiet motion. The fog began to lift, sunlight breaking through the branches, casting golden reflections on the lake. James returned with small brushes, spades, and protective cases borrowed from a discreet museum contact. As they cleared the earth carefully away, the container's full size became visible, roughly the length of a large book made of bronze or copper, with engraved symbols curling along its sides. Look at this, sir, Tom murmured, brushing away the dirt near one corner. There's a date. William knelt. The numbers, though faded, were still clear enough to read. 1786. He exhaled slowly. Good Lord. Over 200 years old. The realization hit hard. His mother's chosen resting place wasn't just a personal sanctuary. It was sitting atop a forgotten piece of Spencer history. Maybe not forgotten. Maybe protected. We'll need an expert, William said quietly. Someone discreet, someone who understands both archaeology and royal history. I know just a person, James said. Dr. Sarah Chen. She's worked with the British Museum before. Total discretion, top of her field. Get her here, William said. Tell her only that it's a historical find on private land. Nothing else. As they packed up for the day, William stood again before the memorial. The sunlight shimmered across the lake, turning the water gold. He felt something stir deep within him, a sense that this discovery wasn't coincidence. It was calling. This wasn't just an artifact. It was a message, and somehow it was meant for him. By the time Dr. Sarah Chen arrived at Althorp, the fog had burned away and a calm afternoon light filtered through the lime trees. She was known for her precision, an archaeological consultant who had worked on several confidential royal projects. Her handshake was firm, her expression composed, and yet even she couldn't hide her curiosity when she saw the container resting on the table near Diana's memorial. This is remarkable, she murmured, leaning in. 18th century craftsmanship, possibly earlier. See these seams? Whoever made this designed it to last for centuries. William nodded. You believe it's authentic? Oh, there's no doubt. But what's inside? She smiled faintly. That's the real mystery. Using fine brushes and small tools, Dr. Chen and Tom Bradley began cleaning the box's surface. The engravings became clearer, coats of arms, faint symbols, and one date that still sent a chill down William's spine, 1786. It was the year of the first Earl Spencer, George Spencer, a man known for his obsession with family lineage. What do you think it contains? William asked quietly. Dr. Chen examined the lock, a complex brass mechanism that still gleamed beneath the tarnish. It was sealed to be airtight and waterproof. If we're lucky, it might hold documents or letters. Something someone wanted preserved, not found. William's chest tightened. His mother had chosen this very island because she felt connected to it, though she could never explain why. Could that connection have run deeper, through generations of the Spencer bloodline? Dr. Chen's voice broke his thoughts. Your Highness, I recommend we open it under controlled conditions. My lab in Oxford has X-ray imaging. We can see what's inside before disturbing it. William hesitated. Part of him wanted to pry it open right here, in the place it had slept for over 2 centuries. But his instincts, and his mother's voice echoing softly in memory, urged patience. Let's do it properly, he said finally, and keep this between us. That evening, under tight security, the container was transported to Dr. Chen's private laboratory, a converted Victorian manor filled with modern equipment and the faint scent of old books and oil paint. As the bronze box sat beneath the X-ray scanner, the room went silent except for the hum of the machine. When the image appeared on the monitor, William leaned forward. There were bundles inside, rectangular shapes, wrapped and stacked. Documents, Dr. Chen confirmed. Quite a lot of them. She zoomed in, and something else, circular, near the bottom. What is it? A medallion, perhaps, jewelry, or a seal. William stared at the glowing screen. Can you open it? With care. She reached for a velvet-lined tray of tools, picks, magnifiers, surgical lights. It's a very old lock, but still functional. Whoever sealed this meant for someone, someday, to open it. It took nearly an hour. Each click of the tools echoed like a heartbeat. Finally, a soft metallic snap broke the silence. The lock released. Dr. Chen drew a slow breath, then carefully lifted the lid. Inside lay bundles of parchment wrapped in oiled leather, tied with faded ribbon. The air that escaped was dry and ancient, as though sealed since another lifetime. The first layer of silk had yellowed with age, but the documents beneath were astonishingly well preserved. Letters, Dr. Chen whispered. And look, wax seals. The Spencer crest. She paused, then frowned. But these, they're not ordinary. Look closer, Your Highness. William bent over the first letter. The red wax bore the familiar Spencer emblem, yet surrounded by astronomical symbols and what appeared to be coded markings. What do they mean? He asked. I'm not certain, Dr. Chen said softly, running a gloved finger around the edge. But symbols like these were often used in the 18th century to denote secrecy, especially among noble houses. They unfolded the first page. The handwriting was elegant, formal, the ink browned with age. Dr. Chen read aloud, My dear descendant, if you are reading this, then the secret I have carried is finally revealed. What I have discovered will change your understanding of our family forever. The Spencer legacy hides truths that have been buried for generations. William felt his throat tighten. Descendant. Whoever had written this had meant for it to be found, not by just anyone, but by family. Dr. Chen continued. The year is 1786, and I write in my final days knowing that what I have uncovered must not die with me. Our family's connection to the royal bloodline runs deeper than any believe. In my possession are documents that prove our descent from a king of England himself. The words faded where ink had bled through, but William already knew what they implied. Royal blood, a lineage that reached beyond noble titles, straight into the throne itself. He looked up slowly. Who wrote this? Dr. Chen turned over the parchment. George Spencer, the first Earl. He signed it himself. William exhaled sharply. He knew that name, the man who had built much of Althorp's grandeur, who had been fascinated with history and genealogy. But the implications were staggering. Dr. Chen spread out the next few pages. There are several letters, 12, by the looks of it, all from George Spencer, each more detailed than the last. And these, she carefully unwrapped another bundle, appeared to be genealogical charts, hand-drawn, Old English script. And look, here, John Spencer, 1469. She pointed to an entry connecting the name John Spencer to King Edward IV. William froze. That's the 15th century. Exactly, Dr. Chen said. If this is accurate, it would mean the Spencer family descends directly from Edward IV, a royal line that predates the Tudors. That's "Impossible," William whispered, though the word rang hollow. "My mother, she was always called a commoner when she married my father. The first ordinary woman to join the royal family." Dr. Chen looked up gently. If these documents are real, she wasn't ordinary at all. She was royal by blood, centuries before the Windsors. They read deeper into the letters. Each one revealed more, accounts of hidden baptisms, secret marriages, agreements made during the chaos of the Wars of the Roses. One document bore a copy of a baptismal record from 1469, confirming the birth of John, natural son of His Majesty Edward IV, baptized in Althorp Chapel. The room fell silent. The only sound was a faint ticking of a wall clock. "Dr. Chen," William said finally, voice low, "what does this mean for history?" She hesitated. "If these are authentic, it means your mother didn't marry into the royal bloodline. She restored it." The word struck him like lightning. Images flooded his mind. Diana on her wedding day, radiant in white, stepping into St. Paul's Cathedral under the world's gaze. The whispers that she wasn't royal enough, not refined enough, not born for it. Every cruel headline, every wound, all of it wrong. She had been royal all along. William sat back, overwhelmed. "We need to authenticate everything. Paper, ink, seals, all of it. Quietly." Dr. Chen nodded. "It will take time, but we can do it. And there's still this." She held up the circular object they had seen in the scan, a silver medallion, engraved with strange symbols around its edge. "This could be the key," she said. "It might encode something, a cipher, perhaps, verifying the letter's authenticity." William studied it. The pattern shimmered faintly under the light. "Do you think it can be decoded?" "I know someone who can." Weeks passed in quiet urgency. At Dr. Chen's laboratory, experts worked day and night under strict confidentiality orders. The smell of parchment, dust, and history filled the air. Each document was carefully photographed, tested, and compared against verified 18th and 15th century samples. Every result pointed toward one truth. The letters were authentic. When William received the first confirmation call, he sat in silence for a long time, staring out the window of Kensington Palace. Below, the same gardens where his mother had walked were blooming again. The irony wasn't lost on him. The woman the world had labeled a commoner had been a descendant of kings. Dr. Chen's voice over the phone was filled with restrained excitement. "Your Highness, it's all consistent. Paper fibers, ink composition, handwriting patterns. The letters from George Spencer are genuine. The genealogical charts align with church record from the late 1400s. The medallion, too. It's a cipher, a code pointing to locations across England." "Locations?" William asked. "Yes. It's essentially a map, one designed to lead to the original royal documents hidden centuries ago." Within weeks, William, Dr. Chen, and his uncle Charles Spence embarked on what became their quietest, most extraordinary journey, a discreet royal investigation across the kingdom. At Warwick Castle, they uncovered baptismal records exactly where the medallion had indicated, a hidden compartment behind the chapel altar. At Westminster Abbey, deep beneath Edward IV's memorial, they found letters confirming the existence of John, natural son of His Majesty. And at York Minster, even more astonishing, a marriage record showing that John Spencer had married into the bloodline of Richard III. Charles exhaled softly, staring at the faded parchment. "That means the Spencer line descend from two Plantagenet kings." William didn't speak for a long moment. He just stared at the names written in fading ink, names that had shaped England's very destiny. It wasn't just history. It was blood, his mother's blood. Each discovery strengthened the truth. Diana's lineage wasn't an accident of marriage. It was a restoration of an ancient royal line long hidden by time and secrecy. The Spencer family hadn't entered royalty. They had returned to it. But perhaps the most shocking discovery came at Windsor Castle itself. Behind a sealed panel in the old royal apartments lay a bundle of documents, sealed with a wax crest and marked private, His Majesty's eyes only. Inside was a letter dated 1936, written by King George V. It read, "The House of Spencer remains a rightful keeper of England's oldest royal blood. Any future union between the Spencer and Windsor line shall be seen not as a joining, but as a reunion of what was once one. When William finished reading, his hands trembled. His mother's entire life, her grace, her magnetism, her compassion, made sense in that instant. She had always been royal, not just by destiny, but by birthright. Later that week, William sat across from his father, King Charles III, in Balmoral's private study. He placed the documents on the table between them. The king read in silence for several minutes. When he looked up, his expression was a mixture of awe and regret. "My God," he whispered. She knew, didn't she? Somewhere inside, she knew she belonged. William nodded quietly. She always felt drawn to Althorp. She said the island felt alive. Maybe it was waiting for her. The king exhaled slowly, closing the folder. "Then we owe her the truth. The world does." Over the next 6 months, teams of historians, archivists, and scholars confirmed every piece of evidence. When the results were presented to the Royal Historical Society, the conclusion was unanimous. Diana Spencer was a direct descendant of Edward IV and Richard III, a bloodline older and more legitimate than the Windsor claim itself. For William, the discovery wasn't about politics or power. It was about justice. His mother had spent her life being criticized for not fitting into a world that was always his to begin with. Now, history would finally see her clearly. Movie camera the revelation. On the 30th anniversary of Diana's passing, the BBC aired a special documentary, Diana, the Royal Heritage. The film opened with William standing on the island at Althorp, sunlight filtering through the lime trees. The air was calm, sacred, timeless. He looked directly into the camera. "My mother chose this island as her final resting place because she found peace here. What none of us knew was that this peaceful place was guarding a secret, one that would change everything we thought we knew about who she truly was." The world watched in stunned silence as the story unfolded, the discovery, the letters, the medallion, and the proof that Diana Spencer's blood carried the legacy of England's earliest kings. The ending was simple, just William's voice, soft and resolute. "For years, my mother was told she wasn't royal enough. But now we know she didn't marry into royalty. She brought it home." The world erupted with emotion. Headlines read, "Diana was royal all along." Historians called it the most significant genealogical revelation in modern royal history. But for William, the victory was deeply personal. It wasn't about rewriting history. It was about healing it. Rose epilogue. The island restored. 2 years later, William returned to Althorp with his children, George and Charlotte. The island had changed since the discovery, transformed into a royal memorial garden filled with English roses and white lilies, the flowers Diana had loved most. A new plaque stood beside her memorial stone, reading, "Diana Spencer, Princess of Wales, 1961 to 1997, daughter of the House of Spencer, descendant of Edward IV, mother of future kings. A life lived with grace and dignity in service to her people and her blood." Charlotte traced the words with her small hand. So, Granny Diana was a real princess even before she met Grandpa. William smiled softly. She always was, darling. She just didn't need a crown to prove it. As the late afternoon sun turned the water to gold, William looked toward the horizon, feeling something he hadn't felt in years, peace. The island no longer held secrets. It held truth, and that truth had set Diana free. The lime trees swayed in the gentle wind, their leaves whispering softly, almost like laughter. Perhaps it was the echo of a woman who had finally come home. And that, dear viewers, is a real story behind Diana's legacy, a truth buried for centuries, now finally revealed. If this story moved you, hit that like button, subscribe for more Royal Mysteries ***, and share it with someone who still remembers a Princess of Hearts. Because some stories don't end, they live on, just like Diana's. She wasn't just a people's princess. She was a princess by blood,